Hey everyone, welcome to another 5-Minute Leader. I was doing some work recently with a big pharma company. I won't say exactly where because then you'll probably figure out who it is. But I was doing some work with them and I went on site. I had a couple meetings with some of their leaders and the conversation of values came up. And I was talking to some of their senior leaders and they were sharing what some of their values were. I heard the usual: trust, collaboration, transparency, put the customer first, things of that nature. And I thought, okay, cool, interesting values. That's great. We had a little break. I went to go grab a coffee somewhere. And then one of the other leaders came up to me and we were having a conversation. And again, the conversation of values came up and they were sharing something with me and they said, oh, but don't share this with anybody else on the team. And I thought, why not? This is a great point. It's about values. Why don't you bring it up in the team meeting? And he's like, no, I don't want other people to know about this. And, I'm not really sure how they're going to take it. And at that point, I realized that the values in that organization are living in the wrong place. And this is very common for a lot of organizations. So for most companies out there, where do the values live? The values live on their walls. The values live on their website. The values live on business cards, on placards, on marketing collateral that they hand out to their employees. Those values live everywhere except for the one place that these values are actually supposed to live, and that is in the heads of the people who work there. That's where the values need to live. I don't care what it says on your wall. I don't care what you tell me your values are. But if those values don't live in the minds of employees, if they cannot be seen inside of the organization, when you're walking around, when you're engaging with other people, then those values are pretty much useless. And I always ask organizations, do you think the values that your organization has are unique to you? In other words, do you think that trust is a unique value to you and nobody else has that value of trust? Of course not. Lots of organizations, thousands of companies have trust as a value. But why is it unique at your company as opposed to your competitor or as opposed to another company? It's how those values come to life. Anybody can write trust. Anybody can write put the customer first. Anybody can write collaboration. But what makes these values unique at your company is how you make the values come to life. So the values should not be living on all these different places. It doesn't matter unless the values live in the minds of your employees. So how do you make the values live in the minds of your employees? There are lots of different things that you can do, and I've given entire talks and workshops on this. You can tell stories to reinforce the values. You can help connect that the work that employees are doing to the outcome that employees are having. You mention the values in the town halls. You live the values. Leaders live these values. If your employees see you living these values, then they will live those values. But if you say that trust is a value and your employees don't see you living that value, then they're not going to live that value. And you can't just go to one of your employees and say, hey, trust me, or be more trustworthy. It's not going to work. Lead by example. If you want your employees to embrace these values and if you want those values to be in their heads, it has to be in your head first. And so, those are some places that you can start. Make it just a part of the corporate culture, a part of the conversation, a part of the behaviors that leaders exhibit, the way that leaders behave, because that's really the only thing that matters inside of your organization. So ask yourself, where do the values live inside of your company? Are they living on the walls or are they living in the heads of the employees who work there? See you next time.